to the next video. So in today's video I will share my initial thoughts of Vision Pro, which is the new Apple headset they have launched recently in WWDC. Now first of all, the thing which stands out to everyone is the pricing. The pricing is very high, but I think that's fine, because this is the first version of Pro. Just like iPhone, when it was launched it was very costly, but later on they launched cheaper version of iPhone like iPhone S. I think the same thing will happen with Vision Pro in case Vision Pro is successful. uh, and what I have, like, I have not watched the WWDC keynote or the platform state of the union, but from whatever news I have read, it supports iOS and iPadOS apps, which is great. Now this is very important because if you compare it with other VR headset, like the Oculus one from Meta, or the HoloLens from Microsoft, and there are other few more as well. This will really help Apple's headset stand out, because there will be already existing apps which are supported on VR headset. Of course, you might have to tweak your app a little bit, but given that a wide variety of apps are already supported on this VR headset, on Apple's VR headset, gives it a huge advantage, according to me. A second thing would be, now given that most of the iOS and iPad apps are in 2D, uh, I'm not sure how successful they would be. Like, if you want to create a really successful VR headset or Apple headset app, it has to be 3D, according to me. uh, of course, there are some 2D apps which they had shown in the keynote, like most of them apps were 2D. uh, and yeah, they looked awesome, but I think if you make a 3D app, so if you are already into game development, um, game developers has a really huge advantage on this. And I'm not just saying that this headset will only be used for game development. So for or to play games, like, you can do all sorts of contents, like e-commerce, shopping, or educational content. So I think even in those fields, like, if you have already have a knowledge of how to create 3D apps, then I think you will feel right at home. The problem which I have with this VR headset is, I think they have, like, I'm not sure what the partnership is with Unity. I think, as far as I know, Xcode will support a headset, but Unity will also support it. And according to me, like, I don't like using Unity because it is a bloated mess. Like, it is extremely huge software, and it runs very slow on my Mac, even though it is an M1 Mac. uh, so that is my concern with it, but I'm pretty sure Xcode will support it, given that all iOS and iPad apps are already supported with headset. I think the for Oculus, the developer tools are only Unity, if I'm not wrong. That's what makes it very difficult to make apps for Oculus. I think for Microsoft's HoloLens, they had something called Stereo Kit. I'm not really sure, but you can't, like, from what I have heard, it's not possible to port Windows app to HoloLens. Please correct me if I'm wrong. So yeah, that is a disadvantage of HoloLens as compared to Vision Pro. Now, uh, given that this is going to be launched next year, um, a quick advice from my side, if you really want to become, a Vision Pro developer, or an AR developer, or an XR developer, is that, for now, even though nobody has this headset, and even I'm not planning to buy this headset because I really can't afford it, but one thing which I can do is learn Blender. So Blender, if you don't know, is a free and open source 3D modeling software, and I think 3D apps or 3D games or will be really amazing on this Vision Pro. That's why, for now, like, what I can advise you is that learn Blender. There are some other softwares as well, like Maya. I think Autodesk is also 3D modeling software, I'm not sure, but Maya, I think, is not free. and it is also not open source. Blender is free and open source and used widely in the 3D community for 3D modeling. So given that this is going to be launched next year, uh, in the meantime, if you have time, or if you are excited about this, I would highly recommend you to start learning Blender. I know few of you might be thinking that why should we learn Blender, it is a 3D modeling, right? UI designer should learn Blender. But if you come work in a startup or even in a middle sized company, or if you are an indie developer, finding 3D artists is really difficult. And even if you find them, like they charge very high prices, and uh, they should charge very high prices, because 3D modeling is not very easy. So even like from now to next year, you might think that we have 6 months. Even 6 months are not enough to master Blender. Like many of you might even have a full-time job, so you might even, if you might not even get 6 months, you would just get free time on weekends. So yeah, like by the time their cheaper version of Vision Pro come out, you might at least get familiar with Blender. So I think that is an advantage if you start now. And I did try Blender few times, like couple of years back, but I just gave up on it, because yeah, it was a little difficult for me. But yeah, I'm planning to start it again, and let's see how it goes. Like I think this 3D uh, 3D design tools or 3D game engines are going to benefit a lot, and even 2D app developers will have to learn some part of it, if not all part of it. Like I think the Godot game engine, I'm not sure how it will support. Like if I'm planning to learn a game engine, it will be definitely the Godot game engine. I don't have any interest in learning Unity or Unreal, because they are extremely complex, and Unity is like bloated piece of software, like I have mentioned, and they have their internal politics as well going on inside the company, which I don't want to get into. And given that Godot is free and open source just like Blender, so Godot is a game engine, and given that iPad and iOS apps are already by default supported on this Vision Pro, so if you make a 3D app with the Godot game engine, I think it should run on this Vision Pro, with few changes obviously. So yeah, I really hope that Godot, Blender, even 3JS will get, I think, lot of popularity from this, and might become more mainstream compared to now, because now only game developers use those tools. One more thing is that I really hope there is an alternative to this VR headset, like just a competition to this Reality Pro from Android as well. Like I know there are some headsets which run the Android operating system, but given that those are not from Google, not many people use it. But I really hope even Android or some other like Google or some other company really like, for now I think only Google can do it, because they already has this Android operating system which has a ton of apps. And if they launch a VR headset which runs on Android, then just like this Vision Pro, by default there would be lot of apps available on day one itself. uh, but yeah, I'm not sure whether Oculus or HoloLens will provide a good enough competition to Vision Pro. And I don't want the market to be dominated only by one headset. There should be some competition. It will ultimately benefit both Apple and the other company, because competition is good, right? It You will find more innovations in this headset. I really hope this becomes successful, and I really hope that they lower down their prices in the next, I don't know, 4 to 5 years, I guess. But I think for now it's better to learn this 3D software like Blender and Godot game engine, because they will really help you if you want to master this VR headset. Like Xcode obviously will support development on this, but like if you want to create extremely complex 3D apps, I won't recommend using Swift. I think game engines are better suited for this. But I don't know, maybe Apple will launch their own game engine, not sure, I doubt it. But they might launch some kind of an HDK uh, which will help us to make better 3D apps for this VR headset. Again, 2D apps are supported on this, but I think the real experience will be much better if it support if you develop a 3D app. So yeah, those are my initial thoughts on this. Yeah, I will definitely watch this platform State of the Union and few of these WWDC videos which are focused on Vision Pro, and if there are change of thoughts in after watching those, I will definitely post a video on it. And I will also read other people's comment who are popular in the iOS community or macOS community, or augmented reality community, what their take is on this. But generally it looks more or less positive. Like for some people even have tried this Vision Pro during WWDC, and their reaction was mostly positive. Like I have checked few tweets about this, but the only problem is its high price. But I think that will come down in future years. So yeah, thank you for watching. Bye.